What's good, y'all? I'm kicking off the Johto updated videos with Meganium. I want to have a quick disclaimer for any returning viewers this time. I will not be re-recording every single Johto video, at least not at this point in time. I kind of want to focus on just getting through, updating all the old Pokemon, fixing their movesets, tweaking their stats and all that stuff. And I want to move on to the next part of development, which would be, held items and not held items, sorry, item locations, Pokemon locations is going to be a whole fiasco to balance out, and then of course trainers and stuff, and then the hack is pretty much done. I don't want to dwell on like re-recording every single video at this point in time. Maybe down the line I will eventually re-record every single one, like that's longer, like the older gens 1 to 3 or whatever videos. But as of right now, I'm only going to be recording about a dozen or so Johto Pokemon that need the recording, meaning they either had significant stat changes, or they got an ability changed, or they got a type change or something like that from the original renditions of them. So with that out of the way, for any new viewers, I want to have another disclaimer. First of all, welcome. Second of all, please do make sure you look in the description. There is a link to the same Google Sheet that I'm sharing on screen right now, and you can look at all 600 plus move buffs and changes, as you can see on screen right now. This is the Google Sheet, and then right here is the move sheet. It says search all moves here, and you can click all these little tabs and it'll take you to all of the new move sections. And of course you can also just scroll naturally and look at everything. I cannot understate the sheer volume of move buffs and changes, and also new moves in this hack, so please do give those a look. With that being said though, yeah, Meganium, Grass Fairy, pretty standard type change for ROM hacks. It's just to make it more unique, because as a pure grass type, it would receive steep competition from Pokemon like Tangrowth and a couple others. Meanwhile, Grass Fairy is actually not super common in this hack. It was at first when I was first playing them around, but I ended up reverting a few back to pure grass or some other type. So now I believe the only Grass Fairies are Meganium, Shaman. There's more. Blossom, and there's like one more I'm forgetting right now. Let me check my list. Hold on. Grass. Come on, this isn't that important anyways, but Lilligant, yeah, Lilligant. So those are the 4 Grass Fairies. Pretty reasonable. Grass Fairy is also now weak to Bug. You do have to keep that in mind. Fairy doesn't resist Bug anymore, but it still comes alongside a bunch of really good resistances, especially ones to Dark and Fighting, as well as Water, Electric, and all the typical water Grass type resists. So that's awesome. They have 2 incredible abilities in Regenerator and Grassy Guard. Grassy Guard was changed from Thick Fat from the original rendition of these guys. Thick Fat is cool, but number one, I know Mega Venusaur has it, and Meganium isn't not fat, I guess, but I don't see them like taking less damage from fire and ice just because they're fat. Like, I don't see the logic of the ability. And then also, I think it's kind of boring. I think it's mid. I prefer Grassy Guard. Grassy Guard's a way cooler ability. It has a lot of strategy around it. Grassy Guard essentially functions like Grass Pelt, so there are dozens of new Pokemon that have this ability as one of their 2 abilities, which they're meant to be switching between with an infinite use ability capsule. So essentially for certain boss fights, you're running Regenerator, old, reliable, good defensive ability, and then for other boss fights, you can actually take advantage of Grassy Guard, especially if you have a Grassy Surge Pokemon, of which there are about a dozen or so Pokemon that get that ability now. But you can actually and should actually be taking advantage of Grassy Guard even without a Grassy Surge Pokemon on your team. So a lot of this ROM hack is balanced around hardcore Nuzlocks, especially team-locked Nuzlocks. So that's why so many Pokemon have so many different options that they can switch between, including the infinite use ability capsules, the instant EV training items, and all that stuff. And in this case, you can actually use Grassy Terrain on your ally, and then Parting Shot or Volt Switch or U-Turn, of which most Pokemon get one of the 3 moves. I very much try, in a couple of cases, it's kind of weird for them to have the move, but it's like, it's a cool move, and it's also very useful. So what you can do is you can use Grassy Terrain on, any grass type that learns it, which pretty much I'm sure almost every grass type would learn it, as well as, a lot of bug types get the move, and a bunch of other random Pokemon get the move. So, that makes sense, of course, not random, like I literally random. So that's really cool. You can use that with Terrain Extender, you can switch into your Meganium, and now you are an absolute tank. 112, 100, 115 bulk is already very, very good, but in the grassy terrain, Meganium is like, it's living so many attacks. It also has incredible healing moves. So obviously Synthesis is reteachable via Tutor, which is very useful because you don't have access to the move learner until the end of the game. You have Floral Healing upon evolution into Meganium, which will heal you by 2/3 HP under grassy terrain, which is awesome. You also have Wish if you want to Wish Pass with Regenerator, because you do have a very good HP stat, so that's very nice. And then late game, you get Strength Sap at 52, which is kind of just a move that I give to a lot of grass types, as a nice buff. It's an incredible move, obviously, we all know what that does. So that's the defensive utility for them. Obviously, they have good resistances now. They do have a good amount of weaknesses, but again, what I've said in a couple other videos is that in a ROM hack, especially when you're mostly planning around switching into attacks, it's very easy to predict what the AI is going to use on you. So having resistances is a lot more valuable than having a lot of weaknesses. I would trade having no weaknesses and no resistances to I would trade being weak to half the types in the game and being resistant to the other half, rather than being like completely neutral across the board. I think it genuinely gives the Pokemon a lot more viability if it has, 9 resistances and 9 weaknesses versus nothing and, no resistances, no weaknesses. That's my take on it. And it's also, I wouldn't even say that's a take. That's kind of just how it works in game. In competitive, it's a little bit of a different story, but even then, I'd say it's heavily overblown how detrimental weaknesses are, especially when you have 5 other Pokemon that you can use at the same time. So yeah, resistances, super nice with Grass Fairy. It's also a solid offensive combo. Meganium does have a respectable special attack stat of base 93. It can use that in conjunction with powerful base power moves late game, such as Flirt Cannon and Leaf Storm, which work really well in conjunction with Regenerator. You also can use stuff like Giga Drain in conjunction with Grassy Guard, Leech Seed with Grassy Guard, Protect with Grassy Guard. Because keep in mind, not only does Grassy Guard give you that massive 50% defense boost, it also gives you sorry, I just got a text from okay. Oh shit, I gotta wrap this up. Yeah, but another benefit of Grassy Guard is it also boosts your grass type moves by 50%, and it gives you that residual healing per turn, so it makes you a lot stronger as well. It's not just a purely defensive boost. It also has the damage of Earthquake, so you can absolutely swallow Earthquakes. You do get Earthquake as coverage for yourself for certain boss fights. They do have better physical coverage than special coverage, so for certain boss fights you can still run that physical Meganium just to hit a specific Pokemon super effectively. Parting Shot is a very weird choice, but I think it's Bayleaf at least. I'm very, very generous with that move because I think it's a really important utility move for a lot of Pokemon to get in a hack like this. That's going to be pretty difficult. You're going to want a lot of defensive counterplay to a lot of the stuff that's coming up. So that's why I gave them Parting Shot. It's a little bit weird on Meganium, but I don't know. It's also really good with Regenerator, so I like it. Yeah, they get all types of crazy stuff like Ingrain is really nice with Grassy Guard. Ingrain gives them +1 special attack, +1 special defense, and it blocks you in battle and heals you each turn in return for losing -5 speed. So it's kind of better than Calm Mind in the regard that it heals you, but it's worse than Calm Mind in the regard that it locks you on the field and that it drops your speed, although your speed's already very low. Because I didn't really see them moving that fast anyways, and I also wanted more stats for bulk and stuff, which is more fitting. So yeah. Chloroblast also functions really well with Regenerator. Chloroblast is a 125 base power. It's basically special grass type Flare Blitz, so that's really nice. It will heal you with Regenerator, so you can take recoil damage. You can also use that in conjunction with recoil moves like Play Rough, Rock Climb, and Takedown, which are all TM moves that you get in the mid-40s, and those are all high base power, 110 base power, so that's pretty nice. You also get Priority, Leaf Flurry, Seed Shot, and Fairy Blow, and Pixie Dust. You get Draining Kiss. Floral Guard is essentially grass type cosmic power, so that's really cool. Aromatic Mist is super great utility that will drop special attack and special defense by -2. Charm is obviously still great. Stun Spore is super useful for totems, especially. Sweet Scent is essentially Aromatic Mist, but half, so it drops the special stats by -1. Magical Leaf gives you +1 special defense. Mega Drain heals you by 75% HP, and it's 60 base power. So you've got all types of really nice move changes here that greatly impact Meganium, and that goes for all Pokemon in this hack. So you're doing yourself a huge disservice if you're not checking out those move buffs and changes. But as a whole, very simple buffs and changes overall. I guess I could dwell more on the logic for the Grass Fairy, but I don't think it's that weird. It's just kind of like, oh, this is a graceful Pokemon. It's known for like calming and soothing emotions. It's just its whole thing is like also reviving dead plants and flowers. It fits the fairy vibe. The magical, serene, kind vibe that a lot of fairies give off. Not all, of course, but yeah, it's a pretty arbitrary dual typing alongside stuff like Dark and Fighting. Probably some of the most common added on dual types in this hack, just because the nature of what the types are. You can kind of slap them on a good amount of Pokemon without, versus like Fire type, for example, is very hard to justify in a lot of new Pokemon that weren't Fire type before. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. There's a few more things I could touch on, but I trust that you can figure out, the nuances of the move, buffs and changes, and all the other cool options that they have on your own. All right, I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.